So it's time for Friday Fundamentals again. And this week's question is tied to last week's question, which is what is the double step up in basis? So last week we talked about what the step up in basis is. In states where there is community property rules, like California, there is what we call a double step up in basis. And that happens when you are married and hold property as community property as part of that marriage. When you hold property as community property, you get a full step up in basis when the first spouse passes away, and you get a full step up in basis when the second spouse passes away. In other states, you only get a step up in the interest that is held by that spouse. So if they held that property jointly, when the first spouse passes away, you'd get a step up in basis on 50% of the property. And then when the second spouse passes away, you'd get the full step up in basis because they would now hold the whole property at that time. In California or in other community property states, we call it a double step up in basis because you get the full step up both at the first and at the second deaths. This can be something that surprises a lot of people because in California, that means you got to be very careful about how you hold real property. Real property that is held as community property is going to get a double step up in basis. But if you hold that property as joint tenants with right of survivorship, you're only going to get a half step up in basis. So you got to be careful how you hold property. And you have to be careful how you transfer property into a trust because it will retain the title that it held just prior to being transferred into the trust. So if you transfer property that is jointly held, again, you're just going to get a half step up in basis. But if you transfer property into a trust that is held as community property, again, you'll get the full step up at both the first and second death. So that's a double step up in basis and some things you can think about when you're doing your estate plan.